Hey, buddy.
Raw.
Hey, man, that's a sweet heavy metal happy hour t-shirt. Where'd you pick that up?
Thanks, dude. I got it at the Toxic Radio shop.
Toxic Radio has a shop?
Yeah, dude. It's in the app or online at toxicradio.net.
That is sweet.
Yeah, and I also got a rockin' Toxic Radio hoodie and a Red Band Underground shirt. Dude, I'm gonna look so rockin' at the party tomorrow.
Well, I think you look pretty now.
Oh, wait, what?
The Toxic Radio shop is a place to get all your Toxic Radio gear. Shirts, hoodies, stickers. Find it at toxicradio.net or on the app. Don't buy it safe. Buy it toxic. Hey, where you going, man? Guess what? Toxic Radio is going on a road trip.
Westbound and down, 18-wheeler rolling.
November 7th, we're crossing the river into Philly, and there's gonna be a party. Why a party on a Sunday in November, you may ask? What, are you new here? It's a football tailgate at Lincoln Financial Field for the Birds and Bolts matchup. Come out to see the Toxic Radio crew for fun, prizes, freebies, and shenanigans. Toxic Mike, Super Dave, John Evans, Mr. Entertainment, V. Godfrey, and Gene Walzak from the brand new Birds Deep podcast. Jimmy Page, Nicki Minaj, Martin Sheen, Kim Kardashian, Rover from Sesame Street, Rob Zombie.
Whoa! What the hell was that?
Oh, I don't know. Sorry.
That's it. No more coffee for you.
Fair enough.
So just the people from Toxic Radio, right?
Right. Got it.
Okay. Proceed.
And we might even get a special live performance from Supreme de Resurrecta. So join us at noon, Sunday, November 7th in Lot N, right across from Jetro. Don't do your tailgate safe. Do it toxic.
In the beginning, there was radio.
The radio is one of the outstanding developments of the 20th century.
A radio transmitter was used for large-scale public entertainment.
Then came computers.
You got to keep up with the times, you know.
Imprints of man's never-ending path of progress.
Back in my day, we didn't have no fancy computer boxes to use.
Shall we play a game?
The internet tied it all together.
The internet gave us a whole world of exciting new possibilities.
A bright new era dawning. A new dimension in communications.
It is possible to establish communication instantaneously from any place at any time.
And now it's the 21st century, and we've made it all toxic.
Hold on to your hats. Okay, we're ready to roll.
This is Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe. Play it toxic.
That's what I'm talking about.
What's up, everyone? That's me behind the Birds Deep podcast logo, and Gene to my left behind the graphic, and we are live. Birds Deep, episode number 3?
Four. Come on, man.
4.
Come on, man.
I forgot the one in Canada. So, episode 3.
I wanted to forget that one, too.
Episode 3 on U.S. soil, episode 4 overall. And the Eagles are playing the Birds. I'm sorry. The Eagles are playing the Buccaneers tonight, and we're hoping that the Eagles win, but we're going to talk about if they can, how they can, and, you know, we'll give you our picks. You know, we'll briefly digest last week's win and give you our Jalen Hurts report card or quote of the week. We got all kinds of good stuff for you. Gene, how are you doing today?
I'm phenomenal, man. I'm ready for a big game tonight. I got my Eagles jersey on. You don't get me normally on game day, so normally you guys see me with the wire-to-wire shirt or something like that, but today I'm ready. Game day.
99, a homage to Jerome Brown?
Oh, yes, homage to Jerome Brown, man. Rest in peace.
Yeah, Jerome Brown. They said he was really, they said he, him and Reggie on the line were unblockable. Just, you know.
Bro, they had Seth Joyner and Clyde Simmons on that line, too.
I feel like Clyde, unpopular opinion, he was good, but I feel like he was good most of the time when Reggie was there. He had a decent year.
I mean, yeah, he was never doubled.
Yeah, I mean.
But yes, he was
Yeah.
like a speed rusher before there was speed rushers.
For sure. So we got a lot to dive into. Eagles won last week. You were right. I was wrong. I picked them to lose, but it was close.
To be fair, I've picked them every week.
I mean, you have. I guess I'm 2-1 overall. I picked them to lose every week. So
no, I picked them to lose to the Chiefs. I'm
Oh,
lying.
did you?
Yeah, I did. I forgot about that. I picked them to lose to the Chiefs. So I'm 2-1. You're 2-1. We're good.
Yeah, I think Jalen Hurts showed a lot. We'll get into his report card, but
did he?
I think he did. I do. I mean, it can't always be pretty. It can't always be stats, and he did get stats in that game. You're going to see a lot of hiccups. I mean, let's just compare this real quick. I want people to think about this for a second. We talked about this in the show last week, how some of you yokels out there were calling up WIP and saying we should have traded for Sam Darnold. Well, look at Sam Darnold's progression. Now 3 years in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken, 2 years, doesn't matter. He's been there longer than Jalen Hurts, and he looks like trash juice when he played a halfway decent defense. Their offensive line is not good in Carolina. He locks on the one receiver, and let's compare him to Jalen Hurts.
I mean, he's 3-0 with Christian McCaffrey, 0-2 without him. It says a lot about him that Christian McCaffrey being his security blanket down there in Carolina. Like, you can't, it's undeniable he looked good in the Saints game. It's undeniable he looked good week one versus the Jets. And I get it, it's the Jets.
Did you see Robbie Anderson losing his shit?
He should.
Yeah,
he should.
You know why he's losing his shit?
Because he's not getting the ball.
Yeah, that's right. Sam Darnold locks on to one receiver. Always have done it. I guess they were going to try to teach him how to do it. DJ Moore has become a production monster because he locks onto him, and especially with Christian McCaffrey out. So Robbie Anderson's like, get me the goddamn ball.
Well, he locked on to DJ Moore this week, and the Slaymaker was all over him. Shut a lot of those critics up, which I'm very happy. Shout out to Big Play Slay. 2 interceptions.
Take that, Glenn Mack, now.
Damn right. He was right. He was right.
Yeah, I don't disagree with him. I mean, listen, everybody wants in Philly. I think we hate when people talk trash and they lose because we're old school that way. But I mean, I don't think you listen. You got to be confident as an NFL player, and especially if you're a high level NFL player like a Darius Slay.
Facts. You're spitting facts right now. Shout out to the people listening on YouTube, on Facebook. Appreciate it. Get your comments in there. But one of the things I want to bring up this week about Jalen Hurts was this. I don't think, before I get into that, what would you grade him on a scale A to F? You can use minuses and pluses.
I mean,
I just threw this on you last minute.
It was a tale of two halves, right? I mean,
I disagree.
You think it was the same throughout? I mean, I would give him. I'm not an easy grader. I would give him a B minus.
Yeah, I would give him a C minus. It was a tale of. So he had 2 good drives, 2 the entire game. They had 3 interceptions. 2 were on Carolina's side of the field, and the other one was by Steven Nelson to end the game. Yeah, they looked terrible offensively that whole game.
They did.
Terrible.
They did.
Now, I got to give them credit for so the reason it's not an F, because it was an F up until those last 2 drives. But the reason it's not an F is because Jalen Hurts has the it factor, which is one thing that I have to give him credit for. Like, the guy has it. He's a leader. He constantly keeps his, constantly the teammates were talking about it after the game that Jalen Hurts' leadership was huge in that game. When everything looked bad, when everything was looking dim, Jalen Hurts said, we're going to win this game. We're going to win this game. We're going to build back in this game. But just to be clear, his statistics were awful. His entire game for 3.5 quarters was awful. Don't let it kid you. It was a bad football game. And there's still an undisciplined football team. Sam Darnold threw that game away. I think, in my personal opinion,
they were rushing the passer well, and they took advantage of an anemic offensive line, which they should, right? I mean,
you're right, but in my personal opinion, the Panthers lost that game more than the Eagles won it.
I mean, that argument could be made. I'm not going to debate you on that. I really am not, because I do feel that the reason why I gave him a B is I saw a lot of the intangibles. And the intangibles, there's 2 intangibles I'm talking about. One, a play that's highly underrated. I know some people have talked about it. He had enough presence of mind to not panic and push the ball out of the end zone instead of falling on it. Why is that important? Because you're losing that game if he doesn't do that. Now, that snap wasn't his fault. I mean, the thing fucking sailed. You're like, oh, shit, here we go. And some quarterbacks panic. They fall right on it. They don't know what to do. And he was in the moment. The other thing I saw, which I was happy about, they weren't down by a lot of points, But the thing that really I think is the measuring stick for any NFL quarterback that's growing is, can you move the ball when the defense knows you have to pass? And he did. Now, he didn't pass the lights out, but he made it happen, and he helped bring them back. Wasn't pretty, but at the end of the day, he got it done, and it's going to be like that this season. It's not going to be pretty, and I don't know if that's because of coaching or Jalen Hurts having growing pains. It's a little bit of both, I think.
So it's funny. I have 5 categories in which I judge a quarterback. And just for fun, I'm going to give them to you and I'll spitfire them for you. I want you to tell me if he's above average, average, or below average in these 5 categories.
Okay, shoot.
All right, so it's like kind of like a 5-tool baseball player. Throwing power, would he be above average, average, or below average?
I'm going to say average.
He's below average.
You think below average?
He has one of the worst deep ball arms in the league.
Now, are you talking about strength or are you talking about accuracy?
No, I said strength.
Okay. I don't know if his arm's weak. He just has to step into it when I look at the mechanics. I think he did that on a couple of the throws last week. I mean,
but right now, he would be below average.
Okay. I would say average, but that's not.
Throwing accuracy.
I mean,
now keep in mind, you're grading against 32 NFL quarterbacks. Is he top 10? Is he middle?
No,
is he middle?
No,
is he 11 through 20, or is he 21 through 32?
I think he's in the 21 through 32 class.
So he's below average, right?
Slightly below average, yeah.
Okay, leadership, above average, average, or below average?
I mean, I'll give him above average on that. I mean,
I agree with you.
I got to go with what the players are saying. I'm not in the locker room, right? I mean, I have to go with what his teammates are saying. It's
intangibles.
He's above average.
So I agree with you there. And the last but not least, so you have your throwing accuracy, your throwing power, you have your intangibles, your leadership. The last one is being able to read a defense and call play at the line of scrimmage. That Peyton Manning it factor.
Well, he's not at Peyton Manning level.
Well, obviously, it's the greatest one of all time to do that. Him, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. I'm not saying he's there.
He's improving. I would say he's slightly below average.
He's below average.
Yeah,
below average by a lot. There.
Yeah,
he might be 29th out of 32 NFL.
But he did play a stout defense this week, though. Which this wasn't like so. Stats wise, it was more impressive against the Chiefs. But the Chiefs are Swiss cheese.
I agree.
This team is not Swiss cheese. It was going to be a dogfight no matter what. I mean, Sam Darnold definitely helped out, but the real Sam Darnold stepped up and showed his face this week. I mean, he just did.
But I agree with you. But by your assumption, you have him above average in 2 categories, average in 1, and below average in 2. I have him below average in 3 categories and above average in 2. The 2 things I can hang my head on with Jalen Hurts is his intangibles, like being when a play breaks down, being able to sniff out that first down, use his legs. He's above average. He's probably 9th, 8th in the league in that.
I just look at his learning curve so far, and I just feel like it's on the upward trend slowly. It's not like this, kind of like this right now. And you know what? When he got drafted, he was a project QB. I think Eagles fans are very impatient when it comes to a quarterback growing. Very impatient.
That's not fair.
You don't think? I mean, listen, after the first season when Carson Wentz to do 7-9, people were like, I'm not sure if this guy's it.
So, listen, the reason I wouldn't say it's fair to call him a project quarterback. So, so what quarterback, define a quarterback that's not a project quarterback?
All right.
Coming out of draft.
When I see it, one that could read defenses easily.
Give me anyone.
Justin Herbert's not a project.
Perfect. Okay, he's not a project. Give me another one.
I don't think he was. I mean, they didn't think he was until
Is Trevor Lawrence a project?
Wasn't supposed to be.
No, he's not. He's not. Is Justin Fields a project?
I think Trevor Lawrence has regressed because of coaching. But
I don't think he's regressed. I think he plays with a bad football team, and in the NFL, you can't play with a bottom 5 talented team and expect to be.
I think
top.
Urban Meyer's awful for that team.
Urban Meyer, that Jags offensive line, the Jags defense. Yeah, I mean, I think Trevor Lawrence has progressed game after game. His worst game was Houston, and he's gotten better each game.
Yeah, but
he went from F to D-.
There's throws that when I look at him and I look at Jalen Hurts, he's making throws that Jalen Hurts made where they shouldn't be making those throws. I mean, I see him doing stuff like that.
He's still a rookie. I'm just talking about a project.
Right.
A project to me is someone taken in the 4th, 5th, 6th round. Jalen Hurts was a 2nd-round quarterback. He played for a national championship Alabama team. He was a Heisman finalist for Oklahoma.
Right. But no,
I don't look at that as a project.
I look at it
Played for Lincoln Riley and Nick Saban. He's not a project.
Well, Lincoln Riley's great, and Nick Saban's a great coach too. But I just think the level of plays, even in your top program, is so much different from college. There's an adjustment period for any.
Well, then everyone would be a project.
Yeah, but I think he's a project because the knock on him was, it's easy to throw to people when they're wide open. You have to throw in tighter windows in the NFL, and that's where I see that would be my knock on him coming out of college. Guys are Devontae Smith even. He's running wide open in college. That ain't happening in the pros. They're on his ass, and he's adjusting. You see him getting better every game.
Yes, I agree with you.
And and that's what Jalen. I see him doing it. I just don't see him doing it. I feel like it was a project because I felt like, listen, I'm old school in a sense where quarterbacks I think should sit for the first year. I can give you the instance of so many quarterbacks that did where it was successful. Aaron Rodgers sat for 2 years. Patrick Mahomes sat for a year in like a game. There's a lot of quarterbacks where it did, so they could get adjusted to the speed of the game, the science of the game, the playbook, and all that around them. And when you thrust a quarterback into a brand new situation, you have them playing from behind, and it makes it even more of a project because then you're relying on the coach. And Andy Reid's an all-time great coach.
I love it when you talk dirty to me. Tell me you're thrusting them into progress.
It's true, though. I mean, and then I think Doug might have been better for his development long term if he was still around, right? Nick Sirianni, I'm not sure where his chops are yet as far as developing players. He's too far. He's too short of a sample size. If I went by what I saw so far, I would say Doug would have been the better situation for Jalen. That can't happen. That has moved on.
Well, Jalen said himself that this is the first year he's been coached. So the reason I don't think Doug would have been a better situation for him is very obvious, coming out more and more that Doug never wanted Jalen.
Right, and that's I don't. That has probably to do with the interpolitics in the front office, right? But they said, Marty Mornhinweg was working with Jalen a lot last year, right? And there was, what was the guy's name? He was a specialist brought in from San Francisco. His first name's Rich. I can't remember his name, and he ended up leaving because they bring him in to do motion and things like that. And the Eagles didn't do that last year, so that was that. But that being said, I think he's a project. Not that he can't be good. I just think he has to be coached up on certain things and take his raw athletic ability. And I would describe, and people might disagree with me, I felt Lamar was a project. And look at Lamar. I think he passed a lot better. His passing game has elevated, and that's always been my criticism.
So just me and you's definition of project are different. I think any quarterback that's taken in the first round that wasn't named Paxton Lynch is not a project.
Paxton Lynch, oh my God.
Well, he's taken 23rd overall. I thought he was a project. Like Trey Lance could be considered a project, but I don't think any quarterback taken in the first 2 rounds should ever be a project.
Well, a lot of people he wasn't projected in the first 2 rounds though. That was a surprise pick.
He was projected late second, early third.
Okay, so I mean, how he likes to reach.
100%, he's the smartest guy in the room. But listen, if Jalen Hurts works out for this franchise, and because he has the intangibles, because he has the leadership, I can see that happening. Mm-hmm. If he works out, I can't argue with that pick. You got your franchise quarterback in the second round. You got him on a cheap contract for 5 years.
By the way, if you guys want to argue with us or call in, one of these times we'll fire up the phone lines. But we have our Birds Deep podcast group and the page. We shut down one that some of our listeners went to because it was accidentally made private. So we wanted to make it public so everybody can go in there. You have to ask to join. But if you're an Eagles fan, you're going to join. Sorry, Cowgirl fans. We'll let you in there anyway. You'll get beat up. But it doesn't matter. What I'm bringing that up is, you're talking about Jalen Hurts, and one thing that's been so annoying when I scroll through my Facebook is I see all these Eagles groups, Bleeding Green Nation, Fly Eagles Fly, and this isn't really a, condemning the groups themselves or people run it. All I hear is you got to give Jalen Hurts more respect. Wentz was better. This was that. It's so fucking old.
Wentz is better.
I mean, right now he is.
He is.
Right now he is, yeah. I think the Eagles had to go the direction they went at a certain point with everything the way it blew up. I mean, I don't think Wentz is the same quarterback he was, but right now you got to say he's better.
I've seen the progression from him, especially last week with his game at Baltimore. I think he's only going to get better. His schedule gets easier as this. I think that a lot of Eagles fans will regret that trade by the end of the year. But regardless, I don't want to talk about Carson Wentz. I want to talk about Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, well, that's my whole point is. It's this in these groups. It's like, pick a side. I don't have to pick a side. How about I want to wait and see? I don't have to pick a side. Yeah. Everybody's like, pick a side.
Projections is a big thing.
Yeah, it's so annoying. Let's pick a side. Oh, you're, and it has this undertone where people are like, like this political undertone almost to it. Like you're Jalen or you're Hurts. Well, or Wentz. Wentz is gone. Jalen's here. One's history, the other one's the present.
Well, I'm the perfect example of someone that doesn't pick a side. I like Wentz, and I'm pulling for Hurts. Like, I'm not a Hurts hater at all.
Well, if you're an Eagles fan, shouldn't you be pulling for Hurts?
Obviously.
Right? I mean, to me...
You have to forget Carson Wentz. Like, that conversation's got to stop coming up in Philadelphia talks.
Yeah. It just doesn't... And listen, if he does well in the Colts, great. Good for him. I'm not rooting against him. I just think, after the knee injury, the ability to escape and his escapability and mobility is limited because of the knee injury, and that happens. And I think he was at his best in 2017. I don't think anybody would disagree with me there, because he could improvise on the fly, and I think that half a step he lost is the part that's missing from his game. That's why he looks different.
Okay. I think the Eagles organization almost ruined him.
It's possible,
almost ruined him.
I mean...
So let me ask you a question real quick, and then we'll move on, because I really don't want to talk about... I don't want to make this show about Carson Wentz. But we haven't really gotten to this conversation on this show yet. So let me ask you a question. In 2019, when he drug a bunch of practice squad players and 4 offensive linemen out, and wide receivers, that their leading wide receivers, Greg Ward and Nelson Aguilar and Alshon Jeffrey, decided that they want to play the rest of the season. They were hurt. Like, they had a knee bruise.
Aguilar was hurt?
Yeah, remember he had the knee contusion for 7 weeks?
I know Alshon Jeffrey just disappeared.
So when he drug that team to the playoffs in 2019 with a bunch of practice squad players, with Boston Scott and Greg Ward and all those guys, and, did you think he was that he wasn't anywhere near himself, like he lost a step?
I do think he lost a step. I thought he was a good quarterback still. I'm not saying he was a bad quarterback. I thought he lost an element of his game, and I thought, like, when I watched him play, he wasn't adjusting to losing that element of his game. I think Frank Reich, when I watched her play calling this year, has not adjusted to that element a little bit either.
I disagree. I watched that game. Did you watch the game Monday night?
Absolutely.
He looked great Monday night.
I'm not saying it looked great. I'm talking about, didn't we not see? Weren't we asking ourselves in 19, where are the rollouts? Where the things I saw in 17, even, he came back too early. He hurt himself. And I don't think he was really himself again until later. And I think he did a great job in 2019. I was not saying, hey, let's get rid of Carson Wentz. I wasn't off the Carson Wentz wagon until very late, and the Jeff McClain story came out, and I just was like, it's just over at this point. It's not reconcilable.
Okay.
I would, if he was the quarterback right now, I would be fine with it.
Okay. Well, I that's fine. Let's get into the Eagles Bucs this week, man.
Eagles Bucs.
I want to get into the game this week. I feel like that way too many people were talking about Carson Wentz still on the Eagles radio, and I think that that ship is sunk. That's gone. We'll all find out in a year from now or 2 years from now if we're right or wrong.
Less about it, join the Birds Deep podcast group and listen to this podcast, because we're not going to really, just talk about the over.
As we talk about it for 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, we wanted to get out of the way. As you said, we haven't addressed it yet. It's been addressed, and now we're burying it. So,
So the Eagles-Bucs game, let's break it down.
Okay.
Do you want to start with offense or defense for the Eagles?
Let's go with offense.
Okay. So I hope that Nick Sirianni is listening to this podcast. I know he's not, but I hope that he is. And I would tell him very, very...
You know what? We could get him a Birds Deep podcast T-shirt. He'll wear it.
Exactly.
He'll wear it.
But I hope he was listening. If he was
He's a
listening,
whore for T-shirts.
If he was listening, I would tell him right now, ignore all the advice I gave you the last 2 weeks about running the football. Because you cannot run the football versus this Buccaneers team.
No.
It is impossible. It does not happen. Nobody does it. You cannot run the football against this Buccaneers team. Now, what you can do is exactly what the Eagles do well. You can throw the football. 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 Without Levante David, without Antoine Winfield, Richard Sherman starting at cornerback. They just picked him up off the trash heap a week and a half ago.
They should be running go routes on him all fucking night. Like, they should make him sweat out. He's out of shape. He ain't ready to play. They should be burning
Throw
him up.
The football 100 times tonight, because that's the way you beat this Buccaneers team. Misdirections and throwing the football. You got to stay away from their front four. You have to.
Yeah.
So offensively, I think Devontae Smith has a big night tonight. And I look for a prop bet of over 71.5 receiving yards. I like Devontae Smith on the over. I got Devontae Smith scoring a touchdown. He has progressed every week of the season. He looked his best last week, and I think he will continue to build chemistry in this Eagles offense and continue to receive more looks. Another thing I want to bring up about the Eagles, which you talked about before the show, I want to talk about it. Finally, The Rock has come back. No, but finally, Quez Watkins outsnapped Jalen Reagor.
Yes.
Finally.
Doesn't mean anything.
It does. It means a ton. It means a ton.
You think he sees more snaps?
He needs to continue. He needs to start, and they won't start him because Reagor was a first-round draft pick. Quez Watkins is a better wide receiver. He needs to start.
But I'm going to tell you who has a sneaky good game tonight, and you're going to laugh when I say this. I think Jalen Reagor has a sneaky good game.
Okay. I don't see it.
I mean,
I think he's too concerned with what people are saying on social media. I think he's too concerned with retweeting his own highlights from practice. I think he's too concerned with arguing with fans. I think he's a mental midget.
That I won't disagree with you on at all. The Eagles, so here's the thing. The running backs won't be completely abandoned, right? There are ways to attack them with the running backs. You're just not running up the middle because there's a man called Vita VA that is a load.
Vita Via.
And you got Ndamukong Suh, right?
Yep.
He's not
Jason Pierre-Paul.
Yeah, Jason Pierre-Paul. But you could run against Pierre-Paul. I mean,
he's a good run.
I'm not saying he's not,
run defensive end.
They're good at rushing the passer. You can get him with over pursuing, and what I mean is you got to do screen pass. You're going to have to run to the outside sometimes. You're not going up the gut on him unless Vita VA gets hurt. And that's the key. Last year when I saw Vita VA, he was hurt. Remember, he broke his leg last year. I think early on in the season. And he came back toward the end of the season. You could run on the Bucs. That people were running on the Bucs.
As soon as he came back, you couldn't.
You couldn't, and he is the key to that game. So if he gets hurt,
he's an old school nose tackle,
right? And he swallows up two blockers. I mean, I'm sorry, yeah, he swallows up two blockers. And he gets penetration too. I mean, he's
Jesus, he swallows and gets penetration.
Yep.
Okay,
he's double fisting it.
Sounds like someone. No, I'm just kidding.
He's double fisting it. So.
Jesus, my mind's right in the toilet.
Yeah, we had.
He swallows and he gets penetration.
I mean, I
don't know where we're going with this podcast.
The Eagles can pass it, and they're going to have to attack them there. I know, people say run the ball. That's not going to help you tonight. Not against this defense.
Not tonight.
Levante David being
screen
out.
Pass will help.
It will. Levante David is questionable, and he's rumored to be out.
Levante David.
Did he practice today?
He's not playing.
Okay, so that's great because he's the guy that would spy Jalen Hurts, right? And he's not in to spy Jalen Hurts. So maybe you get some running yards via the quarterback. And if he's not there, then you can go to the outside with Miles Sanders. I felt like Miles Sanders played better last week, and maybe he just needed to knock some out.
Don't get me started on Miles Sanders.
Well,
he was almost my you got to be kidding me this week.
Yeah, the not going out of balance and not knowing where he was at.
The Bucs do have a linebacker that's going to spy Jalen Hurts tonight. I don't think it ever was going to be Levante David. It's a guy by the name of Devin White who goes side by side. He is another 4-3 guy. He's another guy that really, really,
really good.
Worries me because he's fast enough to run with Jalen anywhere he goes. He's a top 5 linebacker in football.
Mm-hmm. Here's the other thing that worries me too, and I know people won't see this on the stat sheet. Not having Dallas Goedert, I do think hurt them. And I'm going to tell you why, because he's better at blocking than Zach Ertz. You're going to need blocking against this team. They are great at rushing the passer. Shaquille Barrett's a good rusher. I mean, they're good at getting pressure on the quarterback. Now, with that being said, they are exploitable in certain aspects of the defense because they are banged up. And the secondary is very, very banged up. And before they were even hurt, they were getting torched. I mean,
that was the weakest position they had on the field. And then they had 2 injuries on opening night. Then they had another injury versus the Patriots. I think, and then they had now Antoine Winfield in the concussion protocol. I think that's the easiest way to attack this Bucs team is over the top. You got to be able to move the pocket. You got to be able to run away from that defensive line and create time for these fast receivers to run around and get open. I think that's the biggest advantage. That's why a lot of the sharps are on the Eagles tonight, man. Like, you got to understand something. 93% of the money on the game is on the Buccaneers, and they opened as 7-point favorites, and the spread moved down to 6.5. What does that tell you?
It tells me a lot.
I bet my left nut the Eagles are going to cover tonight. They might not win. They're going to cover.
Well, this is what I would do. If you want to bet that the Eagles are going to cover, this is a favorite of mine. I've talked about this before. You bet the spread with the Eagles. You take the 6.5, if that's what it's at right now. You got to shop around the odds on the book, and you take the plus minus. You take the plus 250. Gene said it went down to plus 220. Shop it around. There's a lot of books out there, and if they cover,
you love this.
If you cover, you win, right?
You double dipped Carolina last week.
Yeah, well, listen, it works, right? I mean, because it's almost like it could work the other way. You can get screwed on both bets. This is one of those games where it could happen. It's a short week. There's a lot of injuries. They're on the road. Weirder things have happened. I could think of games that I've talked about on shows I've been on. The Jets beating the Cowboys a couple years ago.
Throw Jeff Judge's comment up.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible.
He said, "Listen up. Eagles will definitely win a game they're not supposed to this year, but it won't be tonight, and you could bet your sweet ass on that."
Okay, fair enough.
Jeff said
I appreciate
earlier
that you think my ass is sweet. No.
Yeah, well, Jeff said on the podcast earlier. He said that Jalen Hurts or Carson Wentz will never win a playoff game.
Or Carson Wentz?
Said both of them. He thinks both of them aren't the answer. He thinks the Eagles' next franchise quarterback is not on the roster.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I can't argue with you right now with that. I mean, sorry if there's a little echo, folks. We have a little new dynamic going on here. You see that there's a little stuff going there. I got to be closer to the mic, grab it by the shaft. Anyway.
Jesus, man.
Yeah. So.
Is this a porn show?
I don't know.
I know we're talking about birds deep. We're not talking about your bird.
Yeah. No, not that bird.
Got it.
The crowd doesn't like it. All right, so I just totally lost my train of thought. Take back over, Gene.
No, it's just the game tonight. You need to be able to use the aerial attack. I think the Eagles need to exploit the fact that their secondary is out. Jeff Judge says there's no way they covered. There's no way. There's no way. Jeff, we can bet a cheesesteak on it, brother. Whatever you want. I think the Eagles cover tonight. I'll take them +7. If you're going to hold me to the 6.5, I'll take that too, but reluctantly. I think the Eagles lose a close game tonight. I think the Eagles lose by 3.
When you get up high in the single digits and then you get to closer to the double digits, this is on the lower end of that. The betting becomes favored. To take the points for the team that's the underdog is a better situation. Now, this is on the lower end of that, but it only takes 1 or 2 possessions to just completely throw that spread out of whack. You know what I mean?
You're right.
And that's what happens when you bet that side of the ball. Like when you see a game that's like, their favorite -12, there's a thing called a back end cover. And with
backdoor,
back end. Yeah,
you love the backdoor.
I'm not a back. I was trying to keep it clean. That's why I went back end. But
that's what it's called, brother.
We'll go backdoor. There's a backdoor cover possibility. Now with what Gene's saying, I don't think it's a bad bet. And we'll have someone call in later about that.
Jeff, I'm down with it. Steve's Conley in the Boulevard. Let's do it. We marked it down. Double meat too. He knows how to order it too, bro. Love it. I wouldn't do both cheeses, no whiz, but I got you.
Go in on so. We've dissected the offense, right?
Let's go defense.
Defense. Take the wheel on that.
Okay, so the defense is going to have to hold their breath and do everything they can to slow down Tom Brady. Listen, I'm not trying to be a smartass when I say this.
He gets rid of the ball quick.
I don't know how the Eagles defense stops this Tampa Bay Bucs offense without luck.
They have one of the best offensive lines in football.
They have one of the best offensive lines in football. They have, if not the best, the second best receiving core in football. They have the best person at reading defenses, if not the best, the second best in football.
Will they let Avonte Maddox bring a ladder on the field? Is that possible? Is he covering Mike Evans? I hope not.
No, Avonte Maddox is normally in the slot, and they play a lot of zone. The Eagles are going to play a lot of cover 2 tonight, so you're going to see Brady throwing that ball down. So,
well, hopefully the safeties aren't sitting in the stands like the previous 3 games.
They will. The problem is with this game is you're going to see a lot of balls to the sidelines to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, even Antonio Brown. You're going to see a lot of balls to the sidelines because when the Eagles play cover 2, they try to beat you over the top of the cornerback before the safety can get there. The Eagles will play a lot of cover 3, cover 4, but mainly play a lot of cover 2 defense. They play a lot of cover 2 off. Tom Brady loves cover 2 off. So I'm hoping Jonathan Gannon's a little bit more creative with his play calls because Tom Brady will take that 6-7 yards and move the sticks every single time.
So, I mean, you're not wrong there, but they're going to have to weather the storm. They're not going to pitch a shutout here.
No.
So you're going to have to get one. It's going to be a 12-round fight if they're in this fight. And I think they will. I mean, I think they're going to have to bring some dog to them. That they're the underdog, and if they do well, they're playing with house money. No one expects them to win. I mean, if they lose, people are going to be like, well, it was Tom Brady, right?
I hate that.
I mean, I think
cover 2 soft, Dante. Cover 2 soft. It means they play cover 2 deep. So what's cover 2 off?
Soft's cover. Well, any cover that they were doing was soft anyway. 3, 4, 69, 78, 88. It doesn't matter. But Yeah, it's. I just want to see the defense get some pressure on them. And do you believe in this week's Joey Bag of Donuts take that I hear all the time that the Eagles are in Brady's head because they won a Super Bowl?
No.
I don't believe that either.
You know, Tom Brady is undefeated at Lincoln Financial Field.
Is he?
Yes, he has never lost a game at Lincoln Financial Field.
I mean, the last game he played there was the last year of Carson, or was that 19 or 20? It was 19, right?
He played there in 19, and
it was that really rainy, shitty game.
Yep. You know, it's funny. The Eagles defense played really well that game, and the one touchdown that the Patriots scored early was the trick play. That was a wide receiver pass. Julian Edelman threw a touchdown pass to.
I remember that. He didn't even. So Brady didn't even throw a touchdown pass that game, did he?
I don't know.
It was like something like 18-10 or something.
17-9.
Jesus.
Bro, I'm a walking Britannica.
Yeah, it's
encyclopedia.
I just remember it was a painful game to watch. Yeah, that game was painful.
That was the game that Aguilar couldn't run down the ball that was thrown. Wentz threw a dime on fourth down, and Aguilar basically took a really bad route to the ball.
Was that the catch that birthed the guy on the news, making fun of him, burning him on the news?
No.
That was a different catch?
No.
He got burned on the news.
Oh, my God. The one he got burned on the news was the Atlanta game when he missed a touchdown pass down the left side.
That game pissed me. I remember that game. That game pissed me off to no end. I'm like, he had the game won. There were so many catches in the beginning of that season. Anyway, that's all. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside against the Lions, whatever.
So they really have to limit Tom Brady's possessions, and they have to really try to gamble a lot to get turnovers, because if you don't, Tom Brady will nickel and dime you all the way down the field. Jonathan Gannon better be losing sleep over this football game with a game plan that's something very different than what they threw at Dallas.
Do you think he called a better game last week?
No, I think Sam Darnold stinks.
So he just showed up and took advantage of a bad game is what you're saying?
I think Darius Slay was pissed off and had a baby and went out there and proved the point. I think that he went out there and played a great football game. I think Fletcher Cox was pissed off about getting destroyed in the media, and you could see it. These guys were so angry about the way the media was destroying them. Fletcher Cox having 0 stats, and Darius Slay after Tyreek Hill had all those catches that weren't on him to begin with.
Can they carry that emotion into this game?
No,
I don't. That's tough.
I still think for whatever reason it's going to be a close football game. I think Jalen Hurts is going to move the ball down the field. The Eagles throw the ball. The Bucs can't stop the pass. That's literally what I'm going to hang my hat on.
But if you throw it and you don't accurately throw it to your receiver, then that's a problem. And that's
but the Bucs cornerbacks are very similar to like a college football team.
I could see Zach Ertz having a sneaky good game today too.
He has to. There's no Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're going to throw it to him over the middle. You have to move the chains. I really think that's going to have to be part of the game. They're going to have to use the tight end on third down. And I think Jalen's going to have to tuck the ball, make a couple reads on third down, and run, or have some design runs where it's like third and short. I do think that. I mean, if you look at the stats, the weakness of the Bucs defense is they don't cover pass catching backs well. Let's see.
Right. So Kenny Gainwell needs to. So let's get into Miles Sanders since he had a better game, which is what you said. I disagree.
Well, better than the week before.
He's a fucking bonehead.
Yeah, he didn't have any heads up football.
How do you run out of bounds twice when you're trying to ice that game? This Philadelphia Eagles team. So let's get in.
Their head's not in the game. And that's why I was impressed with Jalen, because his head was in the game.
I want to talk about their undisciplined play.
No, they were undisciplined. Every week.
The wide receiver pick play, in which Nick Sirianni described it as a game of chicken that you purposely try to lose.
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst way to run. You have to look for the ball.
Well, if
you can't just run into. And he's like, oh well, the cornerback ran into our wide receiver, which made it look really good. No, that's not what happened, dummy.
Well, here's the thing. If it gets caught, this is 3 weeks in a row.
You have to run a route and look for the football.
It's 3 weeks in a row this has happened. So if it happens 3 weeks in a row, one of two things is happening. A, you're either running the play incorrectly, or two, you don't understand the rule, and you need to call the league and be like, what's the rule here? Because it's A, though. You're running it incorrectly. That's why it's happening.
You need to run a route. He didn't run a route. He ran directly at the cornerback. And he like tried to juke move him without looking for the football.
Yeah.
You can't do that. That's not a rub play. Like a rub play is you have to run a route
and
to make the cornerback run around you.
And if you get a rep for getting a certain penalty, the refs are going to look for it. They're going to look for it.
Well, the Eagles have a rep. They're the most penalized team in football. The only thing that helps us is the second most penalized team in football is Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah. But they also have the great equalizer in the GOAT.
And you have dummy Miles Sanders, who ran out of bounds twice when we're trying to kill clock. I don't know what the hell he was doing there. Then they benched him and put Kenny Gainwell.
Let me give you an opposite of him real quick. Would be Austin Eckler if you watch the Browns-Cleveland game. He didn't want to score because he wanted to run out the clock. He slid down.
Brandon Staley should. If they'd have lost that game, Brandon Staley should have been fired.
Yeah, it would have been
because
bad.
what you could have done. And listen, I have Austin Eckler on my fantasy team, so I wanted him to score.
I was all about it.
What they should have done was kneel the ball 3 times and kick the game-winning field goal from an extra point range. What they should have done.
Problem is, Browns just can't score that quickly. They're a run team first, and
they scored 42 points in the game.
They did, but Chubb broke off an 80-yard run.
Yeah, and Njoku broke off a 70-yard play.
Yeah, but how are you gonna throw a slant route to your tight end for the game-winning catch? They're gonna
no, but they had plenty of time. They had 1:34 left, no timeouts.
Yeah, I just think the offense becomes limited for the Browns when they have to pass at a time like that. If they're gonna have to go to stretch of the field, unfortunately. I do like the Browns this year. Don't get me wrong, like the Browns, but
okay.
But and then he didn't even want to score the touchdown, and the Browns pushed him in.
Correct. Which my point being is that was a dumb play. Brandon Staley should have got literally smacked in the face for running that play. You kneel the ball 3 times. Austin Eckler was a genius, getting the first down, sliding down.
And that's where's Miles Sanders has been in the league long enough where he should know that that's what you have to do.
Any player that's ever played football should know. They tell you that in the huddle before.
Not
hey,
once,
make sure
not once,
you don't go out of bounds.
But twice. The announcer was like, he does it again. I'm just like, oh my God.
And then you watch Nick Sirianni pull him off the field. He literally almost physically pulled him off the field. He's like, get out, and brought Gainwell in.
And now you know why Gainwell was getting more snaps in the previous week.
Yeah, well, this week he didn't get as many snaps as he should have. I think Gainwell needs to get more snaps. I think it needs to be more of a 50-50 split, and that's my personal opinion.
I think
he's a better receiving
that,
back, too, and you're going to need a receiving back tonight.
Outside of that, I still think Miles Sanders had a better game than the week before outside of the bonehead plays at the end as far as running goes. I mean, we'll see. Gainwell's a better receiver. I agree 100%. There's no doubt about it in my mind.
So if you're going to be throwing the ball all game, why would you not have the better receiver in?
Gainwell came from Memphis, right?
Yes.
Memphis has a long track record of producing some decent backs in the pros. D'Angelo Williams, Tony Pollard.
Look at you with your Memphis football knowledge.
They've got who else? There's more that Darrell Henderson. Yeah. They got like 4.
I would have looked that up. I don't know if you're right, but if I believe you.
Yeah. Well, listen, if you believe me, the listeners believe me. I dare you guys to look it up. But, I mean.
That's awesome.
I think Gainwell has the pedigree for it, and I do think they saw something in him in the 5th round, and I think that was a bargain draft pick. I don't know what it'll be long term. I think he's got a high ceiling as we look at it right now, but Miles Sanders does have a problem catching the ball because that's why Boston Scott even fucking existed. The game that really made me realize that Miles Sanders had a problem catching the ball was that Giants game.
I knew you were going to say Giants game.
Yeah, where
the game where Daniel Jones fell over his 2 feet.
And that's the game where Wentz had to. That was 19, right? Where they had to bring him back.
Two touchdowns in the last.
And I'm like, where's Miles Sanders? Where's he at? Where's he at? And you see that often with him, and he's not injured. It's because they're taking him off the field.
You know what his problem is? It's not a hands situation. It's a concentration situation.
Right.
He's constantly looking upfield because I almost
he doesn't
think,
run a clean route out of the backfield.
No, I almost think he's scared of getting hit. I think he plays with his head on a swivel a little too much.
Or he's trying to run before he catches the ball.
Correct. That's fair. I almost think he's scared of the big hit.
He doesn't run. I know it sounds crazy. He doesn't run a clean route. I know this is partially Carson's fault, but I just think about that game in Cleveland where they threw that horrible screen pass and that I can't even remember the guy's name that picked it off. He's probably not even on a team anymore. In Cleveland. And that was both of them. But
it was 100% Carson. That was one of Carson's worst throws I've ever seen in my entire life.
That was a bad throw.
That was one of the worst throws I've ever seen. It's so funny.
It was windy, too.
Because me and Shalcross were watching that game. We're talking about how good he was playing. And the next play, he threw like a wheel screen pass that got pick 6. It was terrible.
Yeah, but that throw was mostly his fault. But when I watch Miles Sanders on that route, he doesn't – like it's not even a difficult route. And he just seems like he's lost. There's no discipline in the way he gets out in space.
Jeff Judge said, can we please talk about the elephant in the room, all these goddamn penalties, poor coaching, no discipline. It's little kid shit.
Under for Derek Barnett penalties tonight.
I mean, it's probably 1.5, and I'd probably go the over. I think he gets 2.
Roughing the passer, at least 1?
Yeah.
And Brady's playing he breathes on him. He's getting roughing the passer. So.
Trust me when I tell you, this Philadelphia Eagles team as a whole is the most undisciplined team I've seen in a long time, and that gets down to coaching. That is coaching. That is Nick Sirianni's job. That's Jonathan Gannon's job to be more disciplined. And it's everywhere. It's not just it's receivers running out of bounds, not knowing. Like the receiver's biggest job is to know where the boundaries are.
Yeah.
And for you to run out of bounds and have 2 touchdowns. I'm dead serious. I don't remember the last time I've seen that before watching the Eagles do that this year twice.
Yeah.
An eligible receiver because they run out of bounds and they're the first one to touch the ball. And like I hate the armchair quarterbacks. Just to be clear, the first one to touch the ball means if that ball was in the air, I don't care if he reestablished his 2 feet. If he reestablished his 2 feet when the ball's in the air, it doesn't matter. He's the first one to touch the ball. Know the fucking rules. Sorry.
Take that, armchair quarterbacks. All right, so there are a lot of armchair quarterbacks. That's why I can't listen to talk radio on Mondays. But anyway, only after a loss. After a win, I can.
Oh, you get a rah-rah bosh. We're going to the fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, that too annoys me, but I can weather that more than hearing, we should have traded for Sam Darnold. Anyway.
But it's terrible.
Yeah, so.
The penalties are awful, though, bro. What are your thoughts on the penalties?
The penalties are awful. And I think it's a lack
Can you talk about how Jordan Mailata got beat like he stole something on 2 plays, too? Back to back?
Yeah. He's getting
he's a left tackle. He's being forced to play right tackle. Is
Lane ever going to come back?
Listen, I'm not talking about Lane. Whatever his situation is,
I don't know what it is, but is there any inkling that he's coming back soon?
No.
That's not good. Their record without Lane Johnson
I think what
is
I reported.
bad.
I think what I reported last week is completely accurate. It's funny. Angelo talked about that yesterday on 94 WIP. That he thinks the exact same thing I said last week. I said it the day that he left for personal reasons. It was that night we talked about it.
It has to be.
I think he wants to quit football, dude.
It's kind of changed a little bit how that kind of stuff gets reported. I'm going to tell you why. Because remember when Brett Favre did it, it was a whole press conference, this, and that. I'll give you a guy that's not on the level of a Lane Johnson athletically, but Adam Hazley. They made him disappear into the night, and I'm pretty sure that was something to do with the substance, and maybe he had a painkiller issue going on. I'm not sure. But my point is, I hope he does well. I hope he does better. But the Eagles' record overall without Lane is not good. I mean, it's not good.
Well, his nickname is Paved the Lane for a reason.
Yeah, and that's one thing that scares me because you need him in a game like this. And the lack of discipline points to lack of on-field leadership as well, especially in certain parts of the ball. And, you need leaders on the field. Like, they got a lot of penalties in Tampa Bay.
Let me ask you a question. Who's their defensive leader?
You got me.
That's the point.
Yeah, I mean, it's lacking because it's not there. Like, Tampa Bay has a lot of penalties, but they got veterans on there like, guys, cut this shit out now. Tom Brady gets pissed and Dominic Sue gets pissed. They're going to cut it out. They're like, guys,
do you know when the Eagles defense didn't have a lot of defensive penalties? When Malcolm Jenkins was on the field.
Oh, yeah. He's a great captain.
That's 100% what he brought to the table.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people said they were going to suffer leadership-wise after he left, and, I mean, yes.
I just haven't replaced it. All right, let me
That's the best safety the Eagles had in years. I remember when the Eagles signed him, there were a lot of people crowing that they should have got Jarius Byrd. How'd that one work out? That's a long time ago, and they got Malcolm Jenkins instead. And, that was one where
Jeff,
they should have kept him.
Jeff, I love you. Who is the offensive leader? It's definitely Jalen Hurts. And Jason Kelsey agree. But Jalen Hurts might not do a lot of things well. He might not do a lot of things well. He is a leader of men. He's very good at that, and there's nothing I will take away. He's a coach's son, and he played for Saban and Lincoln Riley. He knows how to lead. He might not be as talented as he needs to be, but don't take away from his leadership skills. I disagree with that vehemently.
I mean, I think he's going through leadership. He's definitely proven that he can be a leader, but it needs to evolve, and the team needs to evolve with it.
But I want to talk about the defensive side of the ball for a minute. There was a positive I seen last week.
What was this?
Davion Taylor.
Okay.
Davion Taylor, who is a converted linebacker to maybe safety. Now he's playing linebacker for us again. He has all the makings of a great hybrid linebacker in this league. He runs a 4.3 40. He is an animal. Guy's fast, and he ran down a huge play last week where he stopped the first down. I think it was on Chuba Hubbard.
Chuba. Is it Chuba?
But he made a great play. And he's seen more and more snaps each week. I really, really hope that he becomes a linebacker presence that we can actually really count on. Because the city doesn't value linebackers.
There's a positive. So, listen. Are they scheming him correctly?
Davion?
Yes.
You got to understand, a kid didn't play football up until 3 years ago.
I'm not saying he's playing
like
out
a
of position.
Joel Embiid type. Like, he was like a very, so he played on a high school football team, But like due to his religion, he wasn't allowed to play football during the games on Fridays.
Yeah, it's Seventh Day Adventist or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, yeah.
So like he's like very raw to this football thing. He looked really good at Colorado. I remember when we took him. I thought we reached on him a little bit, but he is developing pretty well. And I got to give him credit because he looked good last game, and I just want to see more of Davion Taylor.
Well, maybe they're shaping his athleticism, and that's into more disciplined play. It's hard for me to believe that with the defense and the penalties, but I mean, do they get a pass rush on Brady? I mean, Brady gets rid of the ball quick. You need it. The way you beat Brady, I don't care if he was 24 or 44. This has always been the recipe. You get pressure up the middle. That is the way because Brady gets rid of the ball quick. You have to move him off the spot. He's not going to.
The Eagles don't blitz.
It's true.
And you're not getting so. Javon Hargraves better have a hell of a game tonight.
Hey, well, listen. Maybe the center's banged up and he takes advantage of it. You know?
Hargraves and Fletcher Cox have to get in his face.
The center is banged up. He did practice today. You said in full, right?
He did full participant.
Very unheralded center in the NFL, but he's a good center. And
I mean, Ryan Jensen's not like unheralded, but I got you.
I mean, you don't hear centers get a lot of pop in general. But usually you'll hear like a couple guys, like
Corey Lindsley, Jason Kelsey, Ryan Jensen.
Yeah, and Jason Kelsey had to wear a clown suit after winning the Super Bowl.
Dude, Jason Kelsey's an animal, bro.
He's an animal.
There was a stat that was put out.
Suit.
There was a stat that was put out earlier, and I want to get it for you. Talk for a minute.
He gets, he's really good at pulling, run blocking, and he's good at everything he does. But like a big defensive tackle, they do give Jason Kelsey problems. The bigger ones, like the Vita VAs of the world, do give him problems. I mean, he gives everybody problems, Vita VA, but to be fair, but.
All right, so there's a consecutive start streak on the Eagles. I'm pulling it up right now.
Are we guessing who is on this?
No, you're not going to want to hear this. All right, so.
Is it Jake Elliott?
Well, it's not. It's not that.
The field goal kicker? Does that count?
No, because we've had a different field goal kicker. So the consecutive starts for the Philadelphia Eagles. Jason Kelsey is set to make like his 116th consecutive start.
It's amazing.
No other Philadelphia Eagle has started more than 15 games in a row.
Really?
None.
He was 7th round pick, right? Or 5th round?
Sixth.
Sixth out of Cincinnati. He was out of Cincinnati, right? Then his brother went to Cincinnati too. I think they both went to Cincinnati.
Bro, you better not be making this shit up. I'm looking it up now.
I'm pretty sure he went to Cincinnati.
You know where the center went to school? I
know.
Love you.
I'm pretty sure he went to Cincinnati.
You're an animal.
Is he?
Yes.
Did he? All right, yeah. And I'm pretty sure his brother did too. I'm not sure about his brother.
Let's find out. I'm going to find out.
Let's see.
Yeah, you're an animal, bro. These guys are friggin' animal, college guys.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm more of a. I like watching the draft. I will confess, I don't watch a ton of college football. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but to know that a 6th round draft pick out of Cincinnati is insanity.
I used to go to the draft every year in person when they had it in Radio City Music Hall. It kind of ruined it for me when they moved it to different cities and how they made the draft a 3-day affair. When you used to go to the draft, you would get the first 2 rounds on the first day. That was awesome. Now, I used to stay for the first, second, third, fourth round, and that was that.
All right, well, let's get into our predictions on the game, and then we'll get into our counterfeit green, and then give our quote before we leave.
Gotcha.
So I'll start. All right, you have your guy calling in or no?
I told him to call now. Just we'll go on our predictions.
All right, so I'll start. I think the Eagles lose this game 31-28. I think to go.
Wow, I thought you were going to go the other way, huh?
Yeah, I think the Eagles lose the game by 3. 31-28. I think the Eagles have no problems throwing the ball in this Bucs defense. I think they will score. I think it will remind you a lot of a Kansas City game, but I think Tom Brady's going to move the ball efficiently instead of big plays. And I think that the Eagles will end up just basic. And you'll hear all people tomorrow it's a moral victory, and they're headed in the next game. And I don't believe in that shit. So
a moral victory, eh?
2-5. Here we come. Or 2-4. Here we come.
That reminds me when people go like, "Oh, they didn't want us to make the playoffs."
Your callers calling in.
Oh, we got Uncle Pat on the line.
Uncle Pat, welcome to Birds Deep Podcast. What's going on, buddy?
Is he there?
Hey. Yeah, I'm here.
So Pat hit me up.
How are you, man?
We're good. We're good. What are you doing right now? You taking it deep?
I'm telling him Pat Jr.
Okay. So you were telling me earlier you had a prediction for the Eagles game. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to hype it up. I'm going to let you lay it on us. And Pat's good at picking some of these upsets. Now, I'm going to tell you, Pat is a football fan.
I'm not going to spoil it, but Pat's good at picking upsets.
He is.
Come on, D.
Well, I'm not going to spoil his pick, but I will tell you that he's good at picking upsets, and he's not a super homer for any team. So he's pulled them out before.
Who's your team, Pat?
We have it on tape. Who's your team? You tell him. I know what the answer is, but you tell him.
The Eagles. Take the Eagles on the money line.
The money line?
Eagles win tonight.
Outright?
Yeah.
Wow.
Who's your favorite team? Are the Eagles your favorite team?
No, Baltimore.
Oh, Ravens fan.
It changes every year.
Yeah, I'm out.
He likes Lamar Jackson.
Well, I root for people. I root for people, and I like the people on that team.
I like that.
Now ask me who I like the least.
Why do you like him?
Indianapolis.
Oh, you like Indianapolis the least?
Baltimore?
No. Why do you explain us your feeling on your money line pick?
It's a feeling. That's all it is. I mean, if you look at paper, you'd say he's out of his friggin' mind. But I ain't looking at paper. I'm looking at my gut feeling. And the Eagles play well against teams that they're not supposed to beat, and they play like shit with teams that they should trounce. It's just been 62 years of watching this. And it's a lot of the Phillies teams, but I think they win tonight. I think it's an upside. I think it's 35-31.
Wow.
So he has the Eagles scoring the touchdown I don't have. I had 31-28 Buccaneers. So 35-28 Eagles means the Eagles score that game-winning touchdown.
31.
Yeah, exactly. We both had the Bucs scoring 31.
So I
like it.
I just have the Eagles scoring one more touchdown somehow, whether it's fucking special teams or whether it's a defensive pick. Something's going to get them that touchdown more than you're thinking.
We're all saying take the over right now.
You heard it here first. The Eagles outright.
Yeah,
it's a gut feeling. I love it.
Uncle Pat on giving the fire. Okay.
Well, now it's -7. I don't know what that translates into the money line.
They're
Should
plus
be like
230.
3-1 odds.
They're plus 230. Plus 220, plus 230.
That's it?
Yep, that's it.
That's what I said.
Because Vegas is really trying to entice you to
me,
bet.
That's low.
I agree with you. Vegas is trying to get you to bet on the Patriots. 93% of money is on the Patriots.
Yeah.
So, like, where you're at, like, your thought process is fade the public, and I get it.
Yeah, and it works a lot of times. I mean, I just think...
I think 7's low. I think there should have been 9.
I agree with you.
So I do think the Vegas is trying to get him to bet with Tampa Bay, and that's when, like, even Howard Eskin will say something like, the line's telling me something, or Mike Missinelli. Well, they got that from me. The line's telling me something.
They got it from Uncle
line's
Pat.
Telling me the Vegas
He's older than both of them. So.
I like it. Well, thank you, Pat. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but I'm going to go with my pick. My pick is I think the Eagles lose, but I was going to go 34-28. The Eagles lose 34-28.
Okay, so you have the Eagles covering too.
All right. Well, again,
we're all saying take the over
Look, you've
tonight.
got
That's
to
what we're
pick
saying.
the score.
Everybody's saying take the over. It's going to be over 52 points easily from all of our picks. We're all saying if you just want to play it safe, take the goddamn over, right? I mean, we're saying points are going to be flying around the board tonight.
Uncle Pat, thank you so much.
You
for
know
your...
something?
Yeah.
This is going to be. Oh, it's my pleasure. Again, the Eagles got nothing to lose and everything to gain with this game, so they're going to go out playing loose. And if Tampa Bay plays their B game instead of an A game, and that isn't typical Tom Brady shit, but there are other guys on the field, going into what they would consider a weak team. It's going to be an Eagles win. The Eagles are going to get that extra touchdown neither one of you picked them for. Well, if you got them at 28, I got them at 35.
They got to get that intangible. But thanks for calling in, Pat. We're going to move on to our next segment as we wrap things up here. And we'll have you call in next week. You're going to eat the crow or you're going to celebrate. Take it deep.
All right, so
my pleasure.
You the man, Pat. Thank you. So, counterfeit green.
Counterfeit green.
Who's your counterfeit money this week?
You go first. I'm gonna get inspired off your counterfeit.
My counterfeit green is the Philadelphia Eagles play calling and Jalen Hurts' game versus the Carolina Panthers. I don't think that he's any bit a bad quarterback. I think that he could have a good game, but I think it's very counterfeit to think that he had a good game versus Carolina. He looked terrible versus Carolina. Don't let that last drive fool you. He had one drive over 40 yards for the entire football game before the last drive of the game. Just want to be clear about that. So that's my counterfeit green this week.
My counterfeit green, and you guys aren't going to like this because we need it, is the Eagles' defensive line sacking the shit out of everybody. They went up against a Swiss cheese That was the weak link in the Carolina offense or whole team. And my counterfeit green is do not expect that same performance against this offensive line and the sack totals and Javon Hargrave living in the backfield. I hope they do, but I just don't see it. And that's my counterfeit green. That's counterfeit because that's not going to happen back to back.
Okay. So
and Derek Burnett will rough the passer and one will get called back anyway.
So let's get into give me your quote first. I want to end with mine.
The quote I want to go with is Ted Williams. Don't let anybody monkey with your swing. It means, fool your swing. If you're confident in your swing and you know what you got to do to win, you build on that, you use it, and you don't let anybody tell you how to do what you do. And that's where I think Jalen Hurts should be at. He's got to build on it, use it, shut out the outside noise, and he has to continue doing the opposite of what his buddy is doing, Jalen Reagor, who is letting people mess with his swing.
Okay, so mine is pretty simple. The Eagles play the Buccaneers tonight. Never say never because limits are like fears are often just illusions. Michael Jordan. Never say never, Jeff Judge, because limits like fears are often just illusions. And I will not fear this Buccaneers team tonight. I will not fear them. Go Birds. Hopefully the Eagles win this game tonight. Hopefully Uncle Pat is correct on the score. I got to call it like I see it. I think the Eagles will lose a three-point game. Any final thoughts?
No, just Jeff Judge's score of 31-10 is really hurting me. That's tough.
Bro, he's an honest critic of the Eagles.
But I can't blame him.
He watched a lot of friggin' sports.
I can't blame him. If he's growing up a Philadelphia fan, I don't blame you. But final thought is listen, guys, nobody has to pick a side. This isn't politics. You can root for any quarterback on your team to be successful, and it doesn't have to be involved of what happened with the last quarterback. That's my thought on the final Eagles thought today.
So my final thought is, go Birds.
Birds deep.
Signing out.